Hey, glad you appreciate the thumbnail. I didn't. I've been. Can't quite say I've been scraping the bottom of the barrel for the for the thumbnails. It is. I'm just anticipating talking about Plato, and I had to find somebody from Red Dead with their boots propped up like that because I just had the image of Plato with his cowboy boots propped up just stuck into my head somehow. I thought about. I really thought about having it be Thrasymachus instead, or having some of the gang from Dutch's gang have their faces over pictures over an image of the characters from the Republic. But I couldn't find anything that was really an appropriate style of image for it to work. Because I would have naturally had either Thrasymachus or Glaucon, probably Thrasymachus, as Dutch, because of the very the manipulative kind of sophist air that he puts on, that kind of thing. But instead, I just settled on Plato being Plato as a cowboy, which all right, I did all right. It's not bad. I still like 2 weeks ago better with. I'm actually pretty proud of that one with Micah with the little bang flag from his gun and all that. That was pretty good. I thought that was pretty good. That was a good one. Anyway, I'm just getting settled, waiting for a few more people to wander in, and we'll jump into the game. Yeah, so I am planning on having the next reading group video, the next one from SCOTUS, the next one or maybe even two up before our next stream Wednesday next week. So we'll be able to continue on any kind of discussions that come up from both the first one, it's already out, and from the next one between now and then. So if that does wind up coming up in conversation, feel free to. At this point, early on, a lot of it is just straightforward explication and some explanation of terms. What Aristotle means and how SCOTUS is understanding what Aristotle has to say, that sort of thing. So that kind of thing. If we do want to, if we do wind up wanting to talk about that, I can pull it up. I can take a look and I can see what we're talking about and try and we can try and work through it, because it is. I will say, SCOTUS is some of the more complicated scholastic philosophy, and by complicated, I don't necessarily mean that his ideas are very difficult to understand. It's more that his writing is very shorthanded and therefore very hard to understand in a lot of cases. And I've done some translation of SCOTUS from the original Latin. He does not have a solid mastery of the Latin tongue, unfortunately, and a lot of what that means is that the translator is having to do a lot of work. I know the translator; he does a lot of work in translating these sorts of things, and he does a very good job of getting it to work. Yeah, so Kylie asks, we watch the vids and read the actual thing, or is it up to us how much we dive into it? So how I formatted it is, how I'm formatting all of these is I'm having the text appear on the screen as I'm reading through it, and then as I'm pausing to interpret and explain. I do recommend getting, or at least finding, the book. If you can find it at an academic library, that sort of thing, you might be able to find it. Kylie in particular, I'll talk to the library at the university and see if they have it or can get an ebook version of most of the things that I'm going to be reading, because in a lot of cases I'm going to be reading it off of the ebook, that kind of thing. I do recommend you have it, get it to follow along. It would make it easier if you do, but I don't want that to be required, right? I don't want that to be absolutely necessary, that you go out of your way to get a book that Some of these can cost upwards of $100-something. This one doesn't. This is, I think the paperback is like $36 on Amazon, last I checked. Last I remember, at least. So it's not absurdly expensive, but it's not nothing. So I'm doing what I can for all of these to make it as accessible to everybody who wants to follow along as possible, without just pirating books for people. I may do that in rare circumstances, for actual students when necessary, but generally, just for a mass market, that's not gonna play that. That said, I am doing what I do in the reading group thing is transformative. So because I am adding commentary to it. I'm talking us all through it, and I'm reading it aloud and all of that. So there is more to it than just the text appearing on the screen, and I'll be honest, it would be far too much for me to put into the description, even if I wanted to do such a thing. In some cases, I may include like specific and useful quotations that I may include in the description for copying purposes. For all of these, I am going to have the full text citation for the book, whatever book it is we're reading, book or even article if we wind up doing articles. There will be a full citation in the description for you to find if you're looking to find the book. So hopefully that clarifies at least the format of what to expect moving forward. I am going to keep them to around a half an hour each, so I'm going to be splitting it up into decently small chunks. In the actual text of the book, I wound up reading about 2 pages in a little bit. So, hoards all the SCOTUS readings and philosophy books in my apartment. What? I don't know. You're all talking about this is where I moved back. Well, there are limits on how many books you can check out of the library, especially as an undergrad. I'm just saying. That said, I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have 5 books from the library within eyesight of me right now, and another one, at least one in the other room. So, gradually, that sort of thing does happen. I use them on occasion. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do with this sort of thing. I want to make this as accessible as possible to just sort of go through the text nice and slowly, to talk about it as we go. And then afterwards, we can go back and discuss either in the comments there, in the comments on the Facebook page. Like I mentioned last night, I am going to try and make get a robust forum for these on my WordPress blog site. I don't know how to do that. I will see how possible it is. I may have to actually go in and mess with the coding, but I have a little experience with coding for boards anyway, for discussion boards. So it's at least doable. I should be able to do something like that. Hopefully, at least. And then long term, like I said, I'm open to having actual live discussions about these things if there's enough interest for it. I'm not sure if there will be, though. That's the thing as well. I don't know if I would want to. That would be once this sort of thing hits that nice Goldilocks zone of number of people interested between I'd like maybe 5 or so at least. But then once it gets more than maybe 20, then that starts getting excessive, and we might have to start limiting the size. So it's kind of our window, and we'll work on it from there. We'll see where it goes. Kylie says this is going to be awesome. I'm sad. I was sad when I realized I don't have any of the philosophy of religion credits to do. Because those are my favorite classes. Yeah, there's always the minor. Just saying, that is an option. There is a philosophy minor available. I'm by the way, I am good. I'm always not paid to promote the minor program, but I'm strongly encouraged to do so almost constantly, and I'm happy to do it. I know a lot of people, a lot of the classes in the department are fantastically well put together and really insightful on a lot of these topics. So I'm always happy to recommend such a thing to students at the university. So talking for anybody who hears this back, I'm talking about St. Leo. So St. Leo University. If you happen to be there, if you are one of my students watching this or watching this back later, think about a philosophy minor. Not usually, I will say, I'm not usually one to promote or recommend minors in general, just because credential-wise they're not super useful. They don't show up on your degree. They only appear if you're applying somewhere specific for a program that would look for that sort of thing, and that's rare. But at the same time, it is a philosophy minor is one of those that will really help your academic. I hate saying academic success. It's such a buzzword, but it really is appropriate in whatever kind of in whatever other major you actually wind up doing. Just because it helps broaden your perspectives of things, and it helps a lot with writing and research, which is a major focus. It's a major tool used in just about any department. It's just not taught as methodically as it usually is in philosophy departments. I would say definitely ask your advisor. Don't just jump off the deep end on my YouTube live stream recommendation. That goes for anyone. Really, don't do that. Like, actually consider your own personal circumstances, that sort of thing. But it's worth looking into. All right, so let's jump in and see where we're at. Whoops. All right. So we just shot the living hell out of Valentine. Oops. Wasn't our fault. Not entirely. We only robbed a train, and the guy got mad at us. Imagine someone getting mad about property damage. God. How could you in these times, really? God, I need to... Despite the relevance to a lot of this plot, I'm going to try and steer away from current events again, because again, it's not my part of my intention for this series is to kind of distract from the absurdities of the actual real world with having some fun, playing some video games, and talking about some really, really abstract stuff. So I am going to try and steer away from a certain respiratory disease and a certain collection of cities which may or may not be on fire. I'm going to try and avoid talking about a lot of those. In fact, the most recent current event I'm going to talk about occurred 16 years ago in 2004. But I do want to talk about it, because it's the anniversary of it. And if you know what I'm talking about, then fantastic. I'm definitely going to be naming horses. Yeah, 100% naming horses. Hopefully not getting them killed, but you never know what those damn dirty O'Driscolls are going to do to our precious, precious horses. Where's my horse? Yeah, I know my audience doesn't tend to be my age per se, so... 2004 probably sounds like a very long time ago for most of you, like a generation or two before any of you were born. But that for me was I was in high school, so wasn't that long ago for me. Not that excessive. In any case, where in the heck are we? We're way the hell up in the mountains. I did this on purpose to an extent because I want a nice long ride to this guy. Take me right through Valentine, but I want a nice long ride because I want to narrate something. That might not be too bad. Well, I want to do this though. I want to do the thing with Albert Mason. Hopefully I should be able to talk about what I want to talk about on the ride here. Just throw it into cinematic mode. 4 back then. Oh my god. I was half joking. I think I said this on stream at some point before. But I've mentioned this. I know I've mentioned this in various classes and to a lot of people in person. That my last class I had, which was almost exclusively first-year students, with like 1 or 2 minor exceptions. So mostly 18-year-olds, a couple of 19-year-olds. About half of them were born after the movie Shrek came out. It scares me. Uh-oh. Okay, let's go see about that. Oh, okay, fine. Jesus. Let's see if we can... Oh! Oh, I see. I'm gonna need that. Where... That is a big wolf. There we go.
Oh, Jesus! Please! I can't take this pain!
I got a health cure.
Got some medicine.
That's a big wolf.
Damn it, that won't help! Look at me! I'm bleeding out here. Can't stay, I can't hold. I can't.
I don't know if I could save him. Interesting. I'm definitely going to skin the wolf, though. Oh, there's his horse. Look at that. Alright, well, let's skin the wolf. That is a big wolf. Yeah, almost looks like a dire wolf. Yeah. Though that was a weird animation, but okay. Alright, well that was a rough one. That was a rough start. Man. Didn't want to start us on such a downer, but a guy just got mauled by a wolf. Let's, Alright. Well, I don't know what to make of that. Let's throw the pelt on Arthur, too, and get going. The dude definitely gave a dramatic performance in death, and I feel that. Listen, he just got mauled by a wolf. Give him a break, alright? Give him a break. It's understandable, really. Okay, so let's go, and let's go into a nice cinematic mode. Let the beautiful landscape kind of take us away while I read us a story. I'm going to read us a nice story from, like I said, 16 years ago in 2004. So, let's begin. Sit down, kids, and let me tell you a tale about a reasonable man driven to do unreasonable things. Marvin Heemeyer was a man who owned a muffler shop in Granby, Colorado. The city council ordained to approve the construction of a concrete factory in the lot across from Marvin's shop. In the process, this blocked the only access road to the muffler shop. Marvin petitioned to stop the construction to no avail. Petitioned to construct a new access road and even bought the heavy machinery to do so himself. Denied. The concrete factory went up in disregard to the ramifications on Marvin's business. To add insult to injury, the factory construction disconnected the muffler shop from the city sewage lines. An indifferent city government then chose to fine Marvin for this. His business and livelihood were in ruin. But rather than lie down and die, Marvin chose to fight back. Over the course of a year and a half, Marvin secretly outfitted the bulldozer he bought to save his business with 3-foot-thick steel and concrete armor, camera systems guarded with bulletproof glass. On June 4th, 2004, Marvin Heemeyer lowered the armored shell over top of himself, entombing himself inside the killdozer to make his last stand. He burst forth from the walls of his muffler shop, straight into the concrete factory that ruined his business. Over the course of the next several hours, Marvin drove his killdozer through 13 buildings owned by those officials that had wronged him, including the city council building itself. SWAT teams swarmed the dozer, but it proved immune to small arms fire and even explosives. Another piece of heavy machinery was even brought out to fight the killdozer, but it too fell to the dozer's righteous fury. In the end, Marvin's killdozer became trapped in one of the buildings it was built to destroy. Marvin chose to take his own life, the only life he took that day. Today we celebrate Killdozer Day and Marvin Heemeyer, the last great American folk hero. A man driven to the brink who chose to fight against an indifferent system. From notes left behind after his passing, quote, I was always willing to be reasonable until I had to be unreasonable. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things. Happy Killdozer Day. And that's our story. I love that story. It is inspirational. It is exactly the kind of inspirational that this game and the good old American Western is all about. That the last quote by him, that he's a reasonable man driven to do unreasonable things, is just the prototypical story of Okay then, rifle time. Repeater time.
You best clear off.
No.
Damn it! I shouldn't think.
Uh-oh. I got his hat.
Goddamn idiots. Should've let me cross.
Well, there we go. Driven to unreasonable things, all right. How close am I to Emerald Ranch? Because I think I'm going to... Yeah, I'm right nearby. Perfect, because I'm taking their carriage. Right there. Well, well, well. Ooh, I like his hat. Do I like his hat? I think I like his hat. Do I like his hat? I think I like it. That ain't bad. I'll keep it. Sorry, buddy. Oh, man. All right. So, yeah, the ordeal we see with Marvin Heemeyer. I absolutely love the story. It fits with this sort of thing as well. There's a lot of reasonable men driven to unreasonableness here. How about this hat? This might be better. Oh, that's a little better. I like that. All right, cool. There's one more over there. Doesn't fit with this jacket at all. But you know, when you do have the sort of situation where how do I put it, that somebody is where you're forced into a situation like that, or honestly like this, if you run across, you know, a bunch of psychopathic killers blocking the road, well, what is one to do other than shoot your way through it and then dust off your gun afterwards? But I definitely think that it is a it is that archetypal. I don't want to say the archetypal American story, because that paints a really weird picture of America in general. But it's certainly the a kind of it's a kind of heroic story of demanding independence. When nobody is having it, you know, when there is when there's an obvious an obvious threat to sanity, and, a threat to things going as normal as they ought to go. I'm sorry, I hit you. But when there is this kind of threat to normalcy, when things are going that insane, the options kind of open up. Partially out of necessity, but I don't want to give the impression, because Haymeyer's case, Haymeyer or Heemeyer, I'm not actually sure which, but Heemeyer's case, the Killdozer case, is an interesting one from an ethical perspective. On its surface, right, he went on a rampage. He went crazy, driven to unreasonableness, as he said, and went rampaging through buildings, fought against, had a fight with, literally a fight with the people in those buildings, with law enforcement, with everybody.
Clear. I need to pass.
All right, no problem. And yet, remember, it's important to note, first of all, that the only life he took was his own. Negano Linder dos Salvadores. Oh, hello. Hello as well. No, I mean, there are their own, right. Suicide has its own ethical problems. Right, fine. But setting that aside, right, and that is a complicated issue that we may have to discuss at some point. Although it's an issue I don't like talking about because it is a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. So I avoid it when I can. The issue of suicide. But in general, the rest of the story, right? This facing off against a corrupt government and people who are intentionally benefiting from that corrupt government at your expense, you being innocent in this case. Okay, that this is a. Oh no, my horse! I'm gonna have to go get it. Darn. That there's something noble about that, right? Because again, like a lot of what we discussed last week in the Red Dead stream, we talked about the issue of aggression and who the aggressor is in a situation. And in a situation like that, it is, I think, fairly clearly the people who made his livelihood impossible by basically bordering in his business.
Very nice. I'll find a good home for this. Here, pleasure.
So not only did they cut off his livelihood by preventing him from doing business, but then they fined him for it. Right? I think just about possibly the most heinous part of the whole situation was the fact that they fined him after having cut off his sewage for having his sewage cut off. That is absolutely absurd. And there's nothing about that makes even a moment of sense. Right? Thinkshank says, right, it was effective imprisonment. Yeah, absolutely. Now, not exactly imprisonment, because technically, if we want to be overly precise, he could leave. He could leave his property, like physically walk off of his property to a degree. No, he couldn't drive there. He couldn't get vehicles out, including the Killdozer, whether before or after armoring the thing. He couldn't get it off the property without literally driving it through someone else's. As I understand it, as I've looked at the case, I have actually looked at some news footage of the stuff, and I've looked at maps and things because it's fascinating. I absolutely love it. But yeah, he wasn't technically imprisoned, but he was effectively. right? And he was not only was he initially victimized, but then he was right by having been cut off and by having been prevented from going about his business and that sort of thing. But then he was further punished for having been victimized. And so we talk about victim blaming, but this is victim blaming taken to a new degree. And so, that was weird, off in the distance. But this isn't just victim blaming, this is re-victimizing, right? Blaming someone, not just blaming someone for the harm that was done to them by somebody, but then further punishing them for having endured that harm is I mean, frankly disgusting, and it makes his actions in response certainly understandable and probably justifiable. Another thing to note, another very important thing to note, is his targets. Right? Heemeyer didn't. Think Shink says they love exceeding their ostensible procedural rules, leaving you to legal or bureaucratic fatigue to make them accountable later. Yeah, the state in general relies on the fact that it has practically unlimited resources, and you don't. Right? And this is the kind of thing where you see with regulatory abuses as well, and even frivolous lawsuits. Right? You see frivolous lawsuits that are just pick and pick away at somebody in our current, even our tort system, where it would be so much more prohibitively expensive to fight against it than to acquiesce. But at some point, you have to say no more. Here I stand. I will stay here, and I will go here and no further, right? And Marvin hit his point. He got to his stopping point where he would take nothing further.
Hi there, mister.
And it was, I mean, what he did is at the very least understandable. Oh, is this our friend? Is this our one-armed friend? I need to go see him. Oh, is it? Yeah, I think it is.
Do we have a problem here?
No. I want to talk to the friend over here. So I'm going to talk to this guy, and then I'll, Mickey.
Hey, buddy.
Mickey.
Can I get a buck, mister? How's it going? Farmers ain't complaining.
Can I give you $1?
Sure.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you! Oh, thank you, mister! Hey, partner.
All right. If that's all, I'll see you later.
What? It'll take more than
Brush
that,
further too. Yeah, so part of what I was saying is the targets of the Killdozer's rampage. He targeted the construction company that blocked him in, that was directly responsible, in part responsible for his current ordeal, and for his current circumstances. Essentially was responsible for victimizing him. Hey.
Oh, hey there.
Let's see how
How's
this
it
guy's
going?
doing.
Well, it ain't going at all. We're broke. We're about ready to call it quits, to be honest with you. Listen, I hate to ask, but is there any way that you could help us get the supplies that we need to finish?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I ain't promising nothing, but I'll see what I can do.
There's a logging camp over in Big Valley, pretty much straight west of here, that might have lumber for sale.
Bye, then. I'll keep an eye out for that lumber.
I appreciate it.
All right, well, let's go see about that.
Time to go, boy. Yeah.
I know approximately where that is. It's... Big Valley. Where's Big Valley? I know it's around here somewhere. Hopefully I'll pass it. Yep, it's not going to tell me. All right. Well, let's just go.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, the Killdozer, he targeted, first of all, the company that boxed him in. But then further, and probably more importantly, the official buildings and offices of the people that first of all authorized it to happen, but not just authorized it, but without whom it would not have happened. Right? Who presumably were the ones who, well, not just presumably, they were in large part. Hey, WizKid. You missed it a little bit ago. I recited the legend of Marvin Heemeyer and the Killdozer. Feel free to go back and check it out later. I'm also going to clip that in particular and just put that up as its own little thing, as its own little video. But yeah, in any case, it was. He targeted very specifically the people who were responsible for the harm that he suffered. So, the company, the one company who boxed him in, the construction company, but then also the like I said, the government officials who not just allowed it to happen, but prevented him from stopping it, prevented him from coming up with alternative solutions. And who denied him permits and denied him his own initiative to fix the problem, right? Because again, he tried to fix it, right? He tried to make his own way out, but they wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah. That looks like a pretty nice horse you got there.
Oh,
I paid
yes.
top dollar for this beauty. Fast as a bullet. Want to see how yours compares?
Absolutely.
I'll race you to Diablo Ridge, all right?
Where's Diablo Ridge? Yeah,
You're on,
absolutely.
fella.
All right. Let's go.
That way? Okay, let's go that way. Oh, damn it, bastard. All right.
Okay there, boy.
All right. Should be okay. Still talking about this, but I'm not. I'm not gonna be able to watch the chat very much while I'm racing, so I don't hit a tree. So apologies if I get a little bit behind.
That's my boy.
Anyway, so Marvin
You all right there, boy?
was clearly victimized by the company. First of all, the other company that boxed him in. But then, like I said, more significantly, he was prevented from solving the problem himself, even though he... Oh, you. That was clever. All right, I'll give you that. Oh, well, excuse me. But prevented from solving the problem on his own, even though he was perfectly capable of solving the problem on his own. He was prohibited from solving it. He was prohibited from doing with his property what he ought to have been able to do and actually had the means of doing, for what it seems to be purely capricious reasons. And we're not, I mean, it seems mostly to have only had to do with, I'm going to have to come back here. It seems to have only had to do with arbitrary regulations that, well, he didn't get a permit to build. And that's what it comes down to. So he targeted his killdozer at the people responsible, the company, and the regulatory agencies and government agencies, the local authorities that were responsible for the harm that was done to him. He didn't go out of his way to hurt anybody else. In fact, he went out of his way not to hurt anybody else. When he clearly could have, he was in an invincible tank for all intents and purposes.
I paid good money for you. Whoa.
Oh, that's not going to end well for you.
All right, I'm due elsewhere.
Okay.
You're just a bad rider. An expensive horse won't change that.
Bastard.
I mean... Anyway, I'm due elsewhere too. I'm not going to shoot him. I'm going to race him again later and embarrass him even more. Wait a minute. The logging camp is up here somewhere. Where was it? I passed it. I think it's... There it is. Yeah, that's it. This is the one. I'm just going to go straight line it. Maybe. I'll think about it then. I think you race him 3 times. So, if he's still a dick by the end of the 3rd one, maybe I'll humble him, but maybe not. If I don't, then I'll think about it. Slapping his expensive horse in the face, that was not a nice or smart thing to do. So, oh hey, a train. And there's not really any way across here. I'm going to go across the clever way. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me catch up on some chats here. Okay, all right. So some killdozers. WizKid says, I really hate governments when they fuck people over like that. Yes, yeah, absolutely. It is a large part of what they're there for. Getting in a man's way, to quote Malcolm Reynolds.
Oh, I thought I'd see you again.
Hey,
Pretty impressive out there, huh? Back for some lumber, I assume? Well, I got a wagon out front, already loaded up and ready to go. For you? Let's call it $75. You won't beat that price anywhere.
Yeah. I could probably rob him for it. That'd be interesting,
All right. I'll take it.
but let's not.
Very good.
I'm
Wagon's
leaving.
out front.
Don't work
See you
too
next
hard.
time.
There ain't much
Any
danger
more
of
trees
that
where
with
those
this
came
bunch, my
from?
friend.
So what's up over here? Somebody wants to talk to me. Where's that? Oh no, it's the cart. Okay, they want it. All right. So WizKid says it feels crazy. This game's already a year old. I thought it was a little more than that. I thought it came out 18. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't. If not, then that's yeah. You might be. I know. Actually, I think you're about right. Yeah, that is actually pretty crazy. I was thinking actually it might have been. I was thinking it was a little older than that, but yeah, and I only just got it around Christmas time when it came out for PC. But yeah, it's. I know the comparisons to Skyrim are all over the place, and they're patently they're really obvious, but it really ages like Skyrim. ThinkShink says, does anyone else begrudge Rockstar for setting these games at the end of the Wild West? I find it too tragic and prefer the height of the era. And WizKid says, that's exactly the point, though. They emphasize the futility of it all, Fink says, watching the dying freedom is too reminiscent of the present for me. I get that. I really do get that. And I mean, hell, that's why that's part of why I'm talking about Killdozer. The other reason I'm talking about Killdozer is because I love Killdozer, and it's the 16th year anniversary of Killdozer. But, I mean, other than that, yeah, there's a lot to that. I mean, it really is part of the theme is this. I mean, I was talking about this a lot last week too. This gradually encroaching civilization, if you want to use the nice word for it, but the sort of consolidating effect of law and order at the expense of freedom, of bureaucratic control, of all these, right, all of these sorts of things that gradually expanded out from, okay, that's not good. It's fine. Everything's fine. Horses can back over rocks. This is realistic, right? Okay, let's go. Why did it take me this way? Jeez. This is silly. WizKid says, I'm right with you there, man. Give it 5 years. If things don't start looking up, 30 years, absolute max. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be absurdly pessimistic about the present and the future in terms of freedom and the lack of. Right? I do genuinely think there are reasons to be hopeful, even if there are obviously a lot of reasons not to be. I do kind of want to talk about that because there's some great thinkers who really point out the significant reasons to be hopeful about the cause of freedom in the future, that sort of thing. But yeah, now one thing I will say is I definitely appreciate that they made the sequel a prequel. They made Red Dead Redemption 2 a prequel. Oh, nice. The Galadriel's mod. I know it's Galadriel's monologue in the movie. Who was it in the book? I forget. Was it just narration? Forget where. Forget. Because that was one of those things that was different. That was adapted for the movies from something other than introductory thing from Galadriel. It was something else. But yeah, Galadriel's speech from the beginning of Fellowship, at least the movie version. Yeah, the constant change, the whole tension between the expanding, calcifying effect of the center of urban civilization expanding out into the free margins, like the Wild West. But actually, like I said, I really like that they made Red Dead Redemption 2 a prequel. And honestly, I think that leaves the door open for making a Red Dead Redemption 3 that ends in Blackwater. Because we heard a lot about the gang up before this point. And, young Arthur and Dutch and Hosea getting together and all that stuff. I think that could be a really good Red Dead Redemption 3, would be the prequel to this, of the gang further out west, if I remember right, leading up to the shit show in Blackwater. That was the catalyst for this one. And then, of course, the question then would be, of course, do you actually show the shit show in Blackwater, or does that just stay a mystery even after it? Because that would be interesting as well. Can I just park here? It's fine, right? WizKid says, if society doesn't collapse, then I don't get post-societal breakdown society.
At least we don't have to work now.
Hey, I brought your lumber. Did I not park it in the right place for you? Alright, fine. This is kind of absurd. Alright, I'll park it somewhere different if you insist. Play the you could play as the girl who dies, then the post game just plays Arthur in the Eternal Chapter 1. Yeah. Yeah, I could dig it. I mean, because the previous one you play as John in the epilogue. There we go. See, I missed it by like 10 feet. Think says, if it comes down to that, we each need dune buggies with miniguns attached. It's the uniform. Don't forget the assless chaps.
Oh, of course. Just
For
as soon as we
apocalypse
sell the
gear.
house, you'll get your money back, and then some.
Guess we just have to hurry up and finish.
Okay, well, do I not?
I'll be back later for what you owe me.
Okay.
As soon as we manage to sell this place off.
Can I?
Damn it, I was really hoping to get out of this.
Well, I need a horse. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna walk to the stable. Does that sound like it? Because I made a mistake. Telling you, man, Big Boss was right. Long live Outer Heaven. As per your recommendation last time, there is a certain appeal to playing some of the Metal Gear Solid games on here if I can manage to get them on PC. Anyway, but yeah, I think there's always the narrative appeal of especially in American culture, there's a huge narrative appeal of standing firm against the kind of expansion, the gradual expansion of oppression.
I ain't hearing no more of this. I won that game fair and square.
Where are they?
Fair and square, my ass! You heard me, fair and square.
Your move.
Oh, well.
Who else wants some, huh? Who else?
Sure.
Sure, I'll shoot you. I wouldn't mind some practice.
Well, let's get to it then.
Maybe I should turn to face him, though. Oh, it's even getting stormy for it. That's nice.
Crazy?
Ain't you happy it didn't go in that thick skull of yours?
You miserable son of a bitch!
I'll finish it. Alright, well. Have a nice sucking shoulder wound. But yeah, there's a that is, I think, the story of Marvin Heemeyer has exactly the same appeal that every Western ever just about has. Particularly the outlaw story. Less so the
Come back here.
hey, come on back here. There we go. Maybe less so the story of the let's go with Hershey. There we go. Less so the story on the laws side. because that has a very different appeal to it. That is the whole taming of the West. To an extent, it's the opposite side in terms of the sort of symbolic expansion of civilization into the uncivilized. You're seeing it from the uncivilized side, and that's a very different appeal, but it's the same story. It's just inverted. WizKid says he's a goddamn. I assume you're talking about Heemeyer. He's a goddamn American folk hero, just like Arthur Morgan, or hell, even like some of the old civil rights leaders. Although maybe not. Maybe not, since that's complicated. Yeah, it's complicated, but I think there's certainly there's a fair analogy there. I think the biggest difference between Marvin and proper civil rights leaders is that Marvin didn't have a real political axe to grind. Right? His struggle was with people in particular who were oppressing him in particular. Right? He wasn't out for any big cause or anything like that. He was just a man who had taken enough shit and he was going to take not one bit more. Totally understandably, given the circumstances. But that's quite a bit different from any of the civil rights leaders who saw systematic injustice and went out of their way to do something about it. That's a different kind of story. Symbolically speaking, if we're talking about them in terms of narratives, right? The civil rights leader is a more traditional heroic character. Right? It's more of a narrative. It is someone who recognizes that there is something that they ought to go out and do, and so they go out and do it. Marvin was, as you said and as he said, a reasonable man pushed to unreasonable things. Right? He didn't have a choice, really. The situation was thrust upon him. It's not like he saw a situation and went to confront it. The situation just sort of landed on him. And so he dealt with it as best he could. There's quite an appeal to that, because it's very much the everyman's story. It's the kind of story that could happen, that we can envision happening to anyone. Right? Maybe it wouldn't actually happen to anybody, because it is an absurd confluence of circumstances. And of course, most of the time, most of the time, people find their way out of situations like that somehow before it escalates to that point. Right? So realistically, there's a reason Marvin's a legend, and it's because there aren't tons and tons of people who do that. Okay, no. I don't want to reload my shotgun.
Got it!
Well, just... That went terribly. Okay, that didn't go well, like at all. But it worked. Yeah, WizKid says it was either exact retribution or lie down and take it. I would go further, because I don't even think lying down and taking it was really an option at that point. Right? That option was taken off the table for him. Because realistically, he had no way out. He wasn't a hero because he went and did something heroic. He was a hero because he did what he absolutely had to do in a literally impossible situation. I'm going to leave their horses. They're going to kick me to death if I mess with them. So that's where it gets complicated. ends justifying the means, because the ends do not justify the means in any sense. I want the rolling block on my back. Yeah, I do. I want that one in my shoulder, in my side. But yeah, so WizKid asked the ends justify the means. Well, no. And that's where the case of Marvin Heemeyer gets interesting, is because it's easy to justify what he did if, you know, he had to do it and it was his only choice and he had to do something, and so he selected what means were available to him and he did what he had to do, or, you know, call it what you want, right? How's it? Oh. Alright, never mind. Alright, sorry.
Easy, girl. You're okay.
Oh well. But certainly we shouldn't go so far as to endorse utilitarianism. And we shouldn't say that you know, he was what he did was only justified because it had good outcomes. Because first of all, it didn't. Oh, you're talking about the game when you... Oh, I was talking about the game when you shot that guy, but that works too. Yeah, shooting the guys who attacked me on the bridge. Even still, no, I wouldn't say justify the means there too. That first of all, that isn't the justification for it. The justification is self-defense. Rather, which you know, has its own kind of you know, complex moral theory to it. In particular, the principle of double effect, which I've talked about before. Why is it taking me up this way? Weird. I know I'm going to meet Micah. Speaking of ends justifying the means, and really, really wanting to shoot someone, but no, it's not. It can't exclusively be about outcomes. Whether we're talking about Heemeyer or whether we're talking about Arthur Morgan. In terms of ethics, you do have to consider whether what you're doing is intrinsically justified or whether what you're doing is not. And if you're only judging based on the means, or sorry, based on the ends you're seeking, then there's a good chance that no, what you're doing is not justified.
Hey, Arthur. Good to see you.
Why? You want rescuing again, dear?
No. I got a plan to make it up to you.
Oh, playing like the Blackwater ferry job, or like you going off scouting and ending up in jail?
Dutch said you was a big shadow cast by a tiny tree.
I don't even know what that means.
I thought you was a tough boy. Not one of those gentlemen trying to protect his riding clothes.
I just know whenever things get real, you turn yellow, lose your head.
Yellow?
Sure seems that way.
So I guess you won't be riding with me to rob the banking coach comes about this time in the Strawberry. I heard one of the O'Driscoll boys yapping about it while I was inside.
You and me? Do a robbery?
That's what I said, didn't I?
After you.
Come on. I know an overlook where we can watch for them coming in.
All right.
What are you doing anyway, camping out here like some crazy hermit?
Can't exactly stay in town now, can I? Like I told you, I ain't going back to Dutch without a peace offering.
So what's the deal with this coach?
What do you mean? Comes through about this time every day, like I said, the end.
I mean, how many men? Guns? Riders?
Nothing serious.
If it's nothing serious, then I hope you won't mind me taking a shotgun. Actually, with that many shells... I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, here we go.
You'll be fine.
I heard the bank's been hiring every trigger man they can get of late. The meaner, the better.
You worry too much.
Forgive me if I ain't wholly faithful in something an O'Driscoll told you when you was half drunk in a jail cell.
He kept yapping about it, saying how they've been hitting it on the regular. It's a good lead in my book.
No, no, it's not.
Everywhere now.
Bastards got a hold of most of Big Valley. Heard they took over
Oh, I need to change clothes.
some big ranch north of here.
How the hell you and Lenny end up down here, anyway?
Oh, you know how it is? Few loose ends. Drink here, drink there.
What loose ends?
Nothing that needs to concern you. I always pay my share.
It concerns me when you put us in danger and we don't realize till it's too late. Like that move you pulled at Strawberry. Making me kill half the town just for your precious guns.
Precious they are. You need to roll a little looser, Morgan.
Looser. I seen you come full undone more than once now, and you only been running with us a few months.
Are we gonna rob this coach or bicker about it? What's done is done.
Guess we're robbing it.
Then let's do it.
Gonna have a snack first. ThinkShake says, how ethically good can you choose to be in the game? Is anti-hero the best you can do? No, you can be honorable and heroic by the end. At the beginning, you really can't. Early on, you're a highway robber, as you can see, like right here. This sort of thing is the bread and butter of what happens early on. Eventually, you can basically redeem yourself, hence the title, right? Or not. You can go and be a fully, realistically, a good person seeking redemption, trying to right all of the wrongs that he has done throughout his life, and you right a lot of them. So through like the final act of the game, the final couple of chapters before the epilogue, it is really, you really do have a chance to do a lot of genuinely good and heroic things, which is really, really neat about
In a little bit. Hold tight.
about sort of Arthur's
Where
character
will they be
arc.
coming in?
Should be from over there. We need to hit them fast before they get into town.
Just don't lose your head this time.
Of course, tough guy. They should be here any minute. Look, there they are. Right on time. Get covered up. Come on! Ride!
Okay, rifle
The
time.
robbery! Stop that coach right now!
Not again, you sons of bitches. Gun them down.
No, you want to do this the hard way, do you?
Jesus, this is ridiculous. It does wind up requiring Arthur distancing himself a lot from the gang.
This is fun for you.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it is. I don't know how much I want me to really spoil about it, but yeah, it does. You wind up distancing yourself not from the whole gang, but from the gang as a gang. Did he just get shot? Micah got shot. Oh, it crashed off a cliff. Oh, of course it did. Of course it did. All right, let me while awaiting here, let me catch up. WizKid in response says, I'm pretty sure, especially in the early game, the whole story is basically Arthur's moral journey as chaos slowly ensues around him. Yeah, very much similar to like I was saying. Or at least you try to. And you can kind of... I mean, you can totally not try to as well. You can play Arthur as a mean son of a bitch basically throughout the whole thing. That is a totally viable way of playing the game. That's sort of the low honor ending, which is really a downer of an ending. It's rough. The last chapter or two is really rough if you're a dick. So I haven't actually been able to play through it like that because I can't, and I have no desire to bring myself to play through a game in that way. So WizKid says, so ThinkShink says, and it must require distancing himself from the gang. WizKid says, kinda. He grows closer to some, distant with others. The dynamic is always shifting, even from the very onset of the story. Thinks says, I'm not bothered about spoilers, and others power struggle with the leader. Yeah. And low honor is depressing. Yeah, very much so. It's if anybody watching is concerned about spoilers, mute for like a minute. I'll try and make it quick. It is a matter of... see if I can do something stupid here. Nope. I definitely can't do that. Okay, worth a try.
Not again, you sons of bitches. Gun them down.
I'm just gonna have to, like, book it after him. I'm gonna try and just get all the way up to the front and shoot the driver.
I need some help here. I told you this would be fun, Morgan.
This is fun for you.
Damn it. I hit him. There we go. Yeah, there's a little bit of...
You think I don't see this?
Alright, that's it. Okay.
Come on, let's get this out of here. No need to keep your face covered now. It's just you and me, sweetheart.
Alright, I'm gonna start looting some folks while I'm here. Jesus. Alright, yeah, there was some buffering there. Yeah, I'm getting on eventually. Recoup some of my losses here.
Come on, Morgan.
Sorry, I didn't actually have time to talk about any spoilers. We were a little busy there.
How long does it take? Next time I'll leave you in the dust.
You got this?
I'm hoping there won't be a next time.
You don't mean... Yeah! Baylock! Come on, boy!
Okay.
Fine new rifle, too. Here you go, Arthur. From me to you. That's more your style than mine.
I actually do like the Lancaster repeater. It's probably my favorite repeater.
Like licking butter off a knife.
It's really slow to reload, but it has a nice internal magazine.
Could be more than we can carry. And there might be a second crew of riders tailing.
All right, then.
Not to mention, we ride back in with a big take and a new wagon to boot. Judge can't say we ain't pulling our weight no more, can he?
I ain't sure I trust this new act of yours one bit.
Listen, I know we got off on the wrong foot, but I got no beef with you. I reckon we're a lot alike, you and me.
Now, hold up there.
Dutch knows I'm a feller that gets things done, same as you.
Gets things done. You'd be wearing a California collar now if I hadn't broken you out of jail.
And I have expressed my gratitude.
Shit! Now we're being robbed! Get across the river!
Yeah, well, great.
What the hell? Come on, Arthur, get out of there!
I'm going to assume these are O'Driscolls. I think they are. Let's see.
You okay? I think so. Just keep your head down. Let's finish.
Whew.
They're goddamn O'Driscolls!
I can see that.
I'll kill you twice! Oh, I'm gonna get to you next! Ah! Don't get time! I got more grip! Oh my goddamn boot!
Anyway, yeah, you do wind up helping out some of the gang and getting into conflict with others. It turns into basically the story of a gang falling apart, and it's falling apart because of more and more crazy and desperate actions by the more rash folks, like three guesses who.
Sons of bitches!
I can't.
Here's the mess with us!
Where is he?
Gotta smoke him out! Look out, Morgan! Wagon coming down the track!
Oh, great. But yeah, folks like Micah on the one side, and Arthur and some of the more level-headed ones on the other side. Arthur is basically watching the gang dissolve under his feet and trying to get as many people out as possible, trying to help people survive basically by the end of it. So that is kind of the last part of his sort of path of redemption, of him trying to redeem himself by helping people in whatever way he can out of this nasty situation that winds up developing. Damn. No, definitely not like that. Definitely not that. Oh, that's Micah. Oops. I mean, I do want to shoot him, but that's different. Where the hell? There he is. Come on. There we go. Anybody else? Or is that it? There we go. That's everybody.
Why is it every job I do with you ends in a pile of dead bodies?
Since when did you have a problem killing O'Driscolls?
You've got a point.
Let's strip this coat, then. It clearly ain't going nowhere now.
Yes, Think Shank, a story about breaking the spell of a cult, essentially. 100%. It really is, and gradually as we go forward, it becomes more and more obvious that
I'll give you the honors.
the Dutch is basically a cult leader.
This little mess.
Alright, well...
That should do it.
Come on, let's see if all this was worth
All I see is you, me, a river full of dead O'Driscolls, and a lockbox. I'd say we're golden here, Morgan. Look at that. What's the cut here?
It's good. Just make sure the gang gets its piece.
Yeah. Like I said, big shadow, tiny tree.
And like I said, that still don't mean nothing. Now, get out of here. You'll see Dutch. Make sure you ain't followed.
I know, boss. I know. It's been fun.
WizKid, I think you mean Mary. Mary Beth is the girl in camp. Is the gang lady. Mary was the one who keeps writing letters to him from. He said, I'm still salty he didn't end up with, like, oh, not a witness. No. I'm gonna have to threaten a witness, aren't I? Because I'm not giving up loot. Damn. Okay, well, can't stay around here for too long. It's fine. It's fine. No law coming, so I'm alright. You mean Mary Beth? Really? Never really saw Arthur and Mary Beth together, but I guess maybe. No? Okay. I think that means there's law coming, but I should definitely be on my way shortly. Oh, yep, no, I should be on my way. No, where are you going? Horse, no, that's where they're coming.
Hang on. I gotta talk to you. Oh, you dead now. Get here, boys. Come on.
Okay, that's not good. Alright, let's leave. Let's leave. Oh no, not my horse. Hold on. Oh, you're kidding.
God damn it.
I really? Really? Damn it. Well, that's not good. I'm gonna need one of your horses, sirs. Not that one. Okay, well. That was not Little Debbie, that was Hershey. And unfortunately, he was one-shotted. Damn. I have never lost horses this consistently in this game. At least I can leave the area immediately and I will have no bounty right here. Oh, God. Yeah, no, that is worse. That is worse. I'm so sorry. Anyway, WizKid says, I just like their little conversations, plus you can dance with her at the party. She's just a favorite with the girls, which is funny because they normally aren't into blondes. I get it. I guess I get it. I just never really had put any thought into them, but I've only lost Cinnabon. And now Hershey. Which is very bad, but it could be worse. I'm gonna set this down and hope it doesn't wash down the river, and it's totally gonna, isn't it? This wasn't even O'Driscoll's. This was my own idiot fault. I just need to find a horse, like one of theirs. There aren't any. They all left. Except for the ones I shot. But no, that's not... None of this is very good. It's not a good situation, you know? Okay, well... Let's go find another horse to hopefully not get killed this time. I'm gonna pull my... Yeah. I'm just gonna go. In the hopes that eventually I will find a horse. Listen, I was being shot at by men on horseback. One way of dealing with that situation, which this game just does not understand, is naturally to shoot the horse from under them. Oh gosh. Okay, well, I can always go see if I can steal a horse from the guy I shook down for money and who gave me tuberculosis. There's gonna be a while. Oh my gosh. This is really gonna be a while. But let's go, yay! Or I can just rob someone. Steal their horse. I'm gonna try that, if need be. Yeah, listen, I was trying to do... a horse! My kingdom for a horse. I have no kingdom. Just by being Arthur. Alright. Hey, horse. Calm.
Easy there, easy.
Easy. Okay.
Whoa. Easy.
Okay.
Whoa.
No, it's okay.
Easy.
Please don't fall down the cliff and die.
Whoa, easy. Whoa there, easy. Hey, easy.
There is a stable kinda near Strawberry. The problem is that I have a huge bounty in Strawberry. That is a saddler. Kentucky saddler.
Take it easy there.
Red velvet, candy cane. Candy cane, I like candy cane. It's a chestnut pinto. I'm gonna put this down for a moment. Okay, alright, it's okay. It's okay. Come here, horse. Come here, horse. Oh no.
Easy.
Don't run up the cliff. You'll die.
Whoa, easy.
Oh, and then what that was weird. Okay, no, you're cool.
Easy.
It's all good. Don't worry.
Whoa there.
I like candy cane.
Easy there, easy. Easy.
You know, I have an option here. And
Easy.
Pep and candy cane
Easy.
is not going to like it. But this is a solution.
There you go. Hey.
Oh, come on.
There we go. Hey now.
Get off of the cliff. Please. Ah, Jesus. No. Oh, don't. No! I can do this. Okay, I can do this.
Easy. It's okay. Easy. Whoa.
Is she gone?
Take it easy there.
Oh no, she's still there. Okay. I just tried to lasso you. It's okay. Twice. On a cliff face. It's okay. Uh-oh.
Whoa.
No. Okay. We can do this. Okay, we can do it. All right.
Now, easy. It's okay. Easy there, easy. Easy there. Easy. Whoa there, easy. Easy there. Whoa. Easy. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. All right, cool.
Go easy, boy.
Oh, yeah, just go through it. It's fine. All right, that was a mess. Who the hell is shooting over here? That's the last thing I need.
Easy. Whoa.
Okay. Where the hell is my saddle go? There it is, all the way up here. Okay. I need to go get in a shootout with that guy down there. Okay. That was a mess. That whole situation was awful.
Let's get this on right, boy.
There we go. Alright, I'm going to try very hard to protect Candy Cane, I think we will call her. I like that. Okay. Let's take our mask off if we're going to be going to talk to this fella. And that should be our rifle. And that should be that. Okay, cool.
You okay, boy?
Oh boy.
Senor.
Candy Cane is a decent name for a boy horse, too.
Last time was luck, huh? I'm feeling good today, Way. What do you say about upping the ante this time? Make it interesting.
Why not? I'm feeling good, too.
I need a snack.
Ha! Okay, my friend, let's do it. Just like that
I
last
need
time,
a
okay? Who can shoot the most
cast a
bombs?
repeater.
Just draw your gun and aim when you're ready. All right?
Okay.
Shoot! Ah, yes!
Oh, you bastard.
Maldito!
Okay.
You just got lucky.
If that makes you feel better, sure.
Oh, that was
Really, is
damn
Peppermint
bad.
better than Candy Cane for a boy horse?
How
I
about
feel like
another
Candy Cane's a good one.
round, huh? Raised steaks.
All right, let's do it.
Aha, that's a good call, amigo.
Oh, this is a hard one if I remember right.
Just like before, mi amigo. You shoot 4 birds out of the sky before me, you win. Stand near me, and as soon as they come out, it's anyone's shot. Be patient. Ah, there they go. Shoot!
Really?
Oh, man. Stupid.
Okay.
That's good
That's how you do it.
shooting, I guess.
Yeah, let's go with Peppermint.
Okay.
Alright, let's do Peppermint.
Man of my word.
Alright. Let's take our money
Appreciate it.
and
Sure.
get the hell out of here.
Better watch out next time. You'll see.
Okay.
Come on, boy.
Whoa!
Alright. Anyway. So, before we were so rudely interrupted by Micah, being Micah, and causing endless troubles for poor Arthur, we were talking about consequentialism. And whether and to what extent the ends justify the means. Okay. So, that's actually a fascinating topic and a really relevant one for this sort of thing. Because we have questions like, is doing one, well, things like, all right, if you need to steal to survive, is it justified, and under what conditions, and to what degree, and under what circumstances, and all that. Right? And so ordinarily we would say, or we ought to say ordinarily, no, right? So we do not want to say that the ends justify the means. If we want to appeal to authority, simply enough, we can just appeal to, it's the book of Romans, I think, the New Testament, where St. Paul says, let us do evil that good might come. We shouldn't use evil means to achieve good ends, even if they are legitimately good ends, and it is an apparently necessary means to achieve those good ends. Even if we don't see another way of achieving the good end, that doesn't mean that we're justified in doing something wrong to get to that end. Right. So in particular, right, we are. Well, so let's go back to Killdozer. Right, so let's go back to Marvin Heemeyer. What was he trying to do? Right. Well, first of all, he was trying to resist and correct the injustice that had been done to him. Good end, right? A fair goal. Now there are some qualms about that. You can ask about whether it's vigilantism. You can ask about whether it's revenge, mere revenge rather than any kind of justice, right? All of these are legitimate concerns, but if we can set those aside for the moment, we can posit that what he did was his goal was noble, right? Okay, and not really concern ourselves with the with any other ethical issues that might arise around it that we could probably resolve, but sidebar, right? All right, let's rename this horse officially to this one. Rename Peppermint. Boom, Peppermint. All right, nice. I love his tail too. Chestnut Pinto. All right, let's hang on to him. We still have Little Debbie. Little Debbie's still here. Waffles loves us. Arthur 2 loves us. Let's stick with Peppermint for right now, and then we'll switch over to Little Debbie. All right. Let's get out of here. And then, what were we doing? Oh yeah, I wanted to pay my bounty while talking about all this. Hey.
Easy, boy. You're okay.
Good boy. So one of the questions that will always wind up arising is well, what is it that you are actually doing? What is the action that you're doing? And how is this distinguished from the end you're pursuing? And how do you say that you're doing something for the purpose of something else? Doesn't the end in large part determine how we describe what the action is? And I would say yes, it does in large part, but not entirely. And this is actually one of the things that I bring up in... this is actually one of the things that SCOTUS brings up in the text that we are going through for the first part of the reading group, because SCOTUS distinguishes an act from what he calls its terminus or its end.
Good to see you again,
what it is for, what is actually trying to achieve.
Quite the bounty you acquired.
Yeah, I know. Oh my god, that's a lot of money. All right,
Must be in big trouble you made at that price.
Yeah, I just murdered like a couple dozen people. It was self-defense, I swear. And actually, I'm not quite kidding. I mean, killing the coach guards, that wasn't self-defense, but the O'Driscolls, that was definitely self-defense.
Hey, move it already.
All right, Arthur needs a bath, so let's do that next while we talk. But yeah, so part of my point, right, is that if we can properly distinguish an action from the end that it is pursuing. If we can do that, and I think we can. Right? And again, if you're looking for the little minute details, check out the reading group video that the first one that we posted up this week. It is probably one of the most in-depth and careful explanations of this conundrum.
What can I do for you?
Let's customize. I like this guy. Schofield. Oh.
Hey, beautiful condition. Keep it up. I'd recommend loading up on extra ammo. It's a nice piece and all, but I'd personally add some rifling. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, did that.
Essential, I reckon.
Okay. Not this one. I don't really
fine-tuning your gun, you know?
care for that gun. Lancaster.
You keep treating that like your own child, all right? Good on you. We can do a lot with this. New trigger, brand new bolt, your pick.
Yes, I'm trying to talk, but he keeps distracting me. Jesus.
You'll be very pleased
scope
with this.
Stock and wrap. Nah, that actually looks really nice. I'm not going to bother with it. I might do a carving eventually, but
Well, it doesn't hurt to stock up on ammo. You never know. Good. Ain't no trace of rust on that as far as I can see. You know what?
okay, I already
I bet
improved
I
this
can
one
make
like
this piece
crazy.
work a lot better for you. Bolts, triggers, parts, back here.
Anyway, so
You keep treating that like your own child, all right?
large part of what I was saying
We can do a lot with this. New trigger.
is
brand
once
new
you
bolt, your pick.
once you separate out the action from its consequences, then you have the question of what actions
Beautiful
are
condition.
justified
Keep it up.
based on those consequences, and to what
you get some
extent
new
does
stuff
the
in this,
do the consequences justify actions? Because certainly we do want to say that there is some extent to which the end matters, right? If you're doing something for the sake of, right, for the wrong reasons, right? You're doing something that is, objectively
Good.
wrong.
Ain't no trace of rust on that as far as I can see.
Like you're
I got some nice carved stocks here.
you're intentionally going out to hurt somebody, for example. If that's the case, then yeah, the end really does matter
Smart addition.
rather than just the means.
You'll see a few people in town with that too.
There we go.
I'd recommend loading
Need
up on
slugs.
extra ammo.
Let's call it on that. That's about good. Cool.
Old Crawford at Carmody Dell had a wagon stolen from his barn.
I do love the gun customizing. It's pretty nice.
Thanks, mister.
Anyway. All right, so to an extent, Kylie asks, is this sort of like Clifford's idea of ethics? To an extent, yes. Right, Clifford is not a consequentialist. Again, I don't know a lot about the rest of Clifford's ethics, mostly about his ethics of epistemology, which is what he's probably most well known for, particularly in his conversations with William James. Clifford is William Clifford, WizKid, who is most well known for his essay "The Ethics of Belief." Is about his central thesis is what's called evidentialism, the evidentialist thesis, that it is wrong always, everywhere, and under all circumstances to believe anything on insufficient evidence. Right? Even if you happen across the right belief, and you happen to come across the right belief by accident, if you did so by unjustifiable means, then you're doing so irresponsibly and you are open to moral condemnation for it. So you always ought to come to your beliefs in the right way. I just paid for a bath. Please? Are you... Really? Can I... There we go. Jesus. That's weird. He says, WizKid, you say he doesn't sound like a fan of Christianity. He was, in fact, an atheist. He was a relatively well-known atheist. But at the same time, his thesis is not in particular anti-Christian.
Good. Thank you.
All right, suit
No.
yourself.
I don't want to deal with the conversation because I'm trying to talk to you guys. But yeah, so it's so Clifford wants to say that, look, it's irresponsible of you to believe on insufficient evidence. So this is his what's called the evidentialist thesis. Yeah, feel free to Kylie, feel free to link it. I think you can actually post links in the comments. So if you want to, you can. Or DM it, that works too. Either way. Yeah. All right, so but yeah, it's basically his it's not explicitly right. That thesis by itself is not explicitly anti-Christian. He does argue against believing in Christianity because he thinks there is insufficient evidence, but there are also plenty of Christian evidentialists, we should say. I mean, you can even qualify somebody like Thomas Aquinas as a Christian evidentialist, because he does think that we ought to believe whatever evidence leads us to believe. Right? We should base our beliefs on sufficient evidence and solid arguments, and we shouldn't just kind of believe whatever we feel like. Right? So the contrast point to evidentialism is really either pragmatism, like William James or maybe Blaise Pascal, or it would be fideism. Somebody like Soren Kierkegaard, or a lot of the reformers in the sort of Zwinglian tradition, rather than the strictly Calvinist tradition. I mean, Calvinists to an extent, but they don't take it as far as the sort of Zwinglian radical reformist tradition. I also do have a video on Clifford. I'll put it in the description, or you can find it. You should be able to find it on my channel. So I'm going to cinematic camera for a minute so I can keep up with the chat. WizKid says, Christianity is the kind of thing that is kind of non-falsifiable, though in the sense that God is literally beyond the scope of human understanding. To an extent, yes. There is a significant negative theology tradition in Christianity that we cannot know the divine essence. Right? Obviously, that's honestly relatively uncontroversial that we can't fully know the divine essence. In particular, not through our own rational powers, right? Our own analysis. We do need to rely on revelation. We do need to rely on God in that sense, if we're to know what God is fully. However, even within that tradition, most Orthodox theologians, and by Orthodox I just mean whether that's big O Eastern Orthodox, whether that's Catholic, whether that's most in the Reformed tradition as well, that we can know through reason alone that God exists. But we can't know the entirety of the divine essence. Right? And in fact, interestingly enough, it is this is one of my favorite dogmatic constitutions of the Catholic Church, is that it is basically the anti-fideist proclamation from Vatican I, which says that it is an object of divine and Catholic faith that the existence of God can be rationally demonstrated from observation of creation. Right? We can infer from creation to creator. So we do not, strictly speaking, need revelation to believe or to know that God exists. To put this in the funnest way possible, it is an article of faith for the Catholic Church that the existence of God is not an article of faith. In other words, you have to believe, and it is divinely revealed, that you can know that God exists without it being divinely revealed. I love that. That is, if nothing else, that is one of the snarkiest dogmatic constitutions that the church has ever proclaimed. Another favorite of mine is, it's not a dogmatic constitution, but it is a condemnation of heresy from 1277, that the existence of other Earths is not, other Earths meaning other planets like ours, presumably also bearing human-like life, that is theologically possible. God could have created other Earths. There's nothing theologically preventing such a thing. So there you go. That's another one of my favorites. In any case, though, right? So what Clifford's evidentialism is doing is, it says, it's forcing the discussion into the realm of evidence rather than into mere faith, if you want to call it faith. So that we should determine our beliefs based on the best evidence available, rather than just determining it based on what we feel like or want or intuit or anything like that. So in response to this, Kylie says, yeah, to WizKid, he's outside of space and time, and therefore, he meaning God, harder for the human creation to understand completely, because we as humans are limited in our reach of understanding. Right, both correct, as WizKid says. That's absolutely fascinating and utterly absurd for the more down-to-earth hardline materialists among us. Yeah, I mean, down-to-earth hardline materialism is also pretty absurd, so there you go. It's ultimately self-refuting, that sort of thing. What in the world? Where am I, and why am I just bushwhacking through the woods? Really? He's not here. 'Cause it's nighttime. Alright, that's annoying. I'm gonna go see what this cabin's all about, see if I can sleep there till morning. So Kylie says, the show Supernatural actually explores the idea that God creating other worlds, but they take a more negative side, saying that other worlds were made when he got bored with the others. Yeah, that's... there are issues, certainly, with that. The idea of God getting bored is I get the... I have not watched the show, but from everything I know about it, and I know somewhat about it, from what I know, the portrayal of God in Supernatural is very capricious and very, I don't know, human? God is very finite in the show, which presents problems. Now this is an interesting one.
About damn time. They said you'd be through 2 days ago. Now that's the worst mistake you could ever make.
I'm just gonna take what I need, lady, and be on my way.
Let me give you some advice. Turn around. Walk out of here. Get far, far away. Stealing from me is the worst mistake you ever made.
That's fair. I mean, it's not. I'm sure I've made worse mistakes. But yeah, that was a mistake. Okay. I don't. That's right. I'm sorry. Sorry, ma'am. Okay. I do need to sneak in there later, because I think there's a semi-automatic shotgun. If I'm thinking of the right thing. I'm gonna set up camp somewhere. Sleep through the night. Yeah, if I remember right, she's basically she's some sort of a criminal mastermind, or like she's like responsible for a significantly large criminal enterprise kind of thing. It's kind of absurd, but and you only find out about it if you sort of play along, because she's blind, and I forgot. So I'm gonna see if I can go back and do it later. In any case, But yeah, I do. Like I said, I do have some lectures that are relevant to the topic of. In particular, I have one that's on Clifford in particular. I also have one that is on the issue of, well, among other things, the issue of fideism. Kylie, you've seen this. I assigned it for class. It was the one on. Actually, we watched it in class. The one with the street epistemology thing, where I kind of went through it and picked it apart very, very slowly and carefully. If you're familiar, if anybody else is familiar with street epistemology, it's basically a technique of using the Socratic method to question someone's preconceptions, just sort of in an everyday conversation on the street with somebody. This one in particular was with a not particularly astute Christian ad. I think it was VidCon. And to a carefully studied philosopher of religion, the thing was a nightmare. So I did a little deconstruction of it, because at one point, somebody asked me how I would respond to the questions that the interviewer was asking, and so I decided, you know what, I'll make a video of it, and I went through it very carefully, and I've been using it for class. So check it out. It's a good one. I will afterwards. I will put that among some other things in the description here. I need to write something. I need to write that down. Clifford, street epistemology. I'm gonna put a something that I find about Killdozer, because we did spend a good amount of time talking about that. So yeah, that's also another thing that I was starting to mention. We'll probably go back to the idea of consequentialism. But I mentioned Killdozer, and this kind of brought it back to the conversation we were having a while ago about hope for the future and kind of a lack of it. So it's easy to see things as bleak, especially when you're sort of in the context of looking at situations like Marvin's or situations like Arthur Morgan's, of seeing the world as just sort of creeping tyranny, of the very gradual expansion of turn on cam. The very gradual expansion of the oppressive, the top-down power to very slowly crush any kind of free individualism, that sort of thing, you know. And I'm gonna check out her cabin again on the way over there. It's due north, so I'll check that out. I'll check that out on the way, because I want to actually see if I can trick her into it, if she completely forgot I was just robbed from her. We'll see. In any case, though, I think there are reasons to be optimistic.
I don't know who's dumber, you, Ethan, Edgar, or Ezra.
What now?
I'm telling you, Ma, we'll get you a new place. Anything you want. Ain't like we're short on money.
I don't want a new place. I got everything I need right here. How many times, Elijah? Shut your mouth before I shut it for you.
Yeah, she sure is nice, isn't she? Okay. Interesting. Trying to remember exactly what I needed to do here. If it's a matter of just walking in, maybe? Saying howdy?
We got a visitor.
Okay. Okay. Ma'am, stop.
Well, I reckon you can cross these 4 off that list.
You dirty son of a bitch!
Fine. I tried.
Ugh. Nice family.
Well, okay. That went really bad. Listen. I knock on the door and they shove me over and everyone points guns at me. It is not entirely my fault. Or even really mostly my fault. And it's partially my fault, don't get me wrong. That of course went really poorly, and part of it was Arthur's fault. But regardless, yeah. So that was fun. Yeah, I forgot how differently that goes if you just wander inside at night and she's blind, so she doesn't realize that you're not one of her sons or whatever. That makes the a pretty significant difference. Anyway, that didn't go well. Not really at all. But fine, whatever. Anyway, so let's search through some things, because I do happen to know that there is, I think there's a nice gun in here somewhere. So I'm going to look through it. I'm eventually going to get it. You're supposed to be able to do that without getting into a firefight with everyone, but I did anyway. Oh, let me use those. Nice. Anyway, so that was a mess. So, mess is over. Mess is resolved. I can try and figure out what the hell's going on, but let's see. Anyway. Carbine repeater. I have a carbine repeater. Whatever. It's fine. This is a crap one. Anyway, so what was I saying? I was talking about something. I got a little distracted. Understandably, by a bunch of guns. Oh yeah, I was talking about the advance of tyranny over liberty and all that stuff. Yeah, so yeah, we all know it's actually quite obvious the problems there are in terms of oh, I was not in fact talking about VeggieTales monstrosity, although that was a thing that exists, unfortunately. Long story. Anyway, oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Semi-auto shotgun, which I really desperately need to clean because it's disgusting. With that covered in rust. There we go. All right. Anyway, so what I was saying was, on the other hand, so we have the obvious problems, right? We have the obvious problems of forever encroaching tyranny, right? Certainly that is an issue. Right? No one can really deny that we have this consistent problem of everything, at least in some respects, constantly getting worse as you know, our freedom to do what we want to do and sort of live our own lives is constantly being encroached upon by more and more busybody type of people. Right? And that's really the story we see here, right? Like I said, in just about any Western. But also, you know, it's the story of Marvin Heemeyer. It's the story of Killdozer. At the same time, though, there is, I think, reason to be optimistic, at least a little bit optimistic, if not really optimistic, at least a little bit, because we there's a thinker who I always will point to about this sort of thing, by the name of Jeffrey Tucker. If you've heard of him, he has a weird reputation, but I highly recommend him for this sort of thing. And I'll talk about it more after we talk to this guy.
I'm sorry, my nerves. I'm not quite the outdoor adventurer I thought. This is God's own country, and I feel I'm in purgatory.
I know the feeling.
No, I hope not.
What you trying to take some pictures of, huh? Some more greedy coyotes?
No. Wolves.
Whoa!
Oh boy.
You really are trying to get yourself eaten.
Oh, I hope not. I left the meat over there. I thought I'd be safe. Given the wind.
Yeah, sure. You managed to attract the world's least intelligent wolf.
Well,
I'll stay with you a while. If anything comes, I'll protect you as needed.
You are a gentleman.
Now, you don't know me very well.
Glad I've got the automatic shotgun.
I'm worse than the wolves.
You had many dealings with wolves, Mr. Morgan?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't feel like being a good shot.
Not through lack of trying on their part. A while back, I helped a friend from getting devoured. Usually they are not great fans of man.
I don't blame them.
Me neither. Hey, shh. Here's one. Looks like we got company.
Yes, there they are. In the trees. Now, don't do anything. I'm going to take a few photographs.
This is absolutely absurdly close.
Come on.
You really want me to concern myself about the coats? I will concern myself about the coats. I also might get eaten.
Good boys. Hungry boys. Come on. Stay back. Can't have a man in the frame. They'd think it's staged.
It sort of is.
Look at them. Magnificent creatures. You provoked them, Mr. Morgan. Help!
They ain't provoked. They're just wolves.
Something, Mr. Morgan.
Okay, shotgun time.
You wanted wolves? You got one, Mr. Mason.
Yep, run off. Okay.
Is that all of them? We might have kept the wolves from the door.
No! My whole futile existence flashed before
They're so cute, eating my arm off. No, they're not. Calm down.
What a way to... Literally a dog's dinner.
Wolves are apex predators. That is not a thing that goes together with cute.
Do they?
Well, I imagine. Perhaps wolves do better at sea. Are they good swimmers? Well, who knows? You have saved my poor foolish skin once again.
Don't mention it.
Well, I can't begin to repay my debt of gratitude. But no, I am eternally in your debt.
I do, Mr. Mason, I do. You take care now.
And you too, sir.
I'm gonna go ahead and skin them all. Because the one over here,
Checking this equipment if...
I may have actually gotten a good pelt from. Probably not, though.
First I was scared of the wolves, and now it's hydrophobia. I've got hydrophobia.
Anyway, while I'm doing this, Jeffrey Tucker, guy I was talking about, is one of my big influences. Not in maybe not in political theory so much, but in political outlook. How I am inclined to evaluate political situations, and not just political situations, but cultural situations as well. He is an interminable optimist when it comes to the way the world is developing. The best book of his, which you can get for free, and I'll try and find a version of it for you to put in the description, is called, my favorite of his at least, it's called, it's a Jetsons World, and the subtitle is something like private miracles and public crimes, something along those lines. And it documents the progression that we have that goes from the previously bureaucratic and restrained world of well, before, roughly speaking, he's mostly concerned in this book, at least, with the digital revolution. Before that, there was...
the same place, and neither do wolves.
So, you
All right,
think
hold on.
that photograph will come out?
I can't say with certainty, but I'm hopeful, sir. I'm due some good luck, no?
Carry on like this, I'm not sure you are.
He's got a point. But basically, his central thesis is, well, he has a couple. His overall point is that the digital revolution, more than anything else, vastly accelerated technological development, and because it did so in a very decentralized sort of way, part of what that does is it allows for people, just ordinary folks, to vastly outstrip the controlling powers of any kind of centralized authority, because of the nature of centralized authority being calcifying. It keeps things as they are, and that is the entire point of centralization and centralization of authority in particular. All right, and you can see this if you're thinking about, if you want to look at like, this game in particular, if you want to look at the Pinkertons, right? For all the talk of progress, what they're doing is they are trying to hold everything together, keep everything steady and consistent under, in this case, under the expanding laws of centralized society. Right? And so what that's doing is, what that means is that if the centralizing force, right, if the center, in its constant attempt to further and further centralize, to make the how do I put it? Make the to make the margins, the periphery, the people yearning to be free, like the gang, to kind of hold them in place and who's that?
You even know how to use it. Shit!
What?
Hey, this here's a private financial matter, so why don't you keep right along?
Not looking to interfere with any sensitive financial matters, I'll leave you to it.
Okay.
Hey, we said to scram.
They're trying to break open a safe, I think. I should stay nearby because I think they blow themselves up if they use dynamite.
That's right. Keep on now.
Okay. Interesting.
You even know how to use that damn thing? Is that a real question, or are you just being an idiot? Well, I don't know. This ain't a mine we're in. But the principle's the same, ain't it? Just think a second before you speak.
They don't let you. They don't want your help.
Anyway. God damn it! This here's a proper safe. It ain't no piece of candy. I'm tired of watching you go on, and I'm tired of your goddamn point. Now you won't get mean, huh? Get mean? When I get mean, you'll know it. Oh yeah? No trouble at all. You took your damn time at least. It's too slow for you. I'm happy to keep your share. I'm just saying, for a miner, you ain't the best with a hammer. You ask me why no one likes you.
All right. Interesting.
Damn it, we warned you.
Hey, whoa. All right. Hey, listen. Just do your thing. Are you really gonna keep shooting me? Gonna make me do this, aren't you? I mean, okay. Well, killed your buddy. Sounds like your own idiot fault. It's not Cinnabon. Cinnabon's dead. Don't ever forget that. Yeah, Peppermint. Don't shoot Peppermint. No, actually, it's fine. Don't worry. Peppermint didn't get shot. Arthur got shot. And also repeatedly shot. So no, Peppermint's fine. Just spooked. Anyway, let's move on. That was a mess, as these situations usually are. Pepper. It's a boy horse. Pepper is totally a girl name, though. Anyway. So, like I was saying, Tucker, Jeffrey Tucker, not the Fox News Tucker, completely different. They both are fans of bow ties, but so am I. So whatever. Anyway, Tucker is a big proponent of sort of outgrowing, technologically and socially, outgrowing the need for the state and for centralized authority. And he thinks that the digital revolution is in large part is playing, in the process of playing, a huge role in this sort of thing. I really, really highly recommend that book in particular. He's got a couple of others on similar topics. Mostly they're collections of essays. Bourbon for Breakfast is one of them, which is just talking about sort of how to buck social trends. That book in particular, years and years ago, that book is what taught me that I don't actually need shaving cream. And if you've seen me in videos, you know that I wear a beard pretty consistently. But I do still shave like around the edges and shave my neck and whatnot because I'm not a slob, not a neck beard either. And I actually learned from that he pointed out, shaving cream is a racket, if you didn't know this. You really don't need shaving cream, and it in fact damages your skin and makes it so you need shaving cream. It's a bit of a transition to kind of get out of the habit, but once you transition to, I used olive oil for a good long while, just olive oil, and then shave it off like it's shaving cream, but without the actual shaving cream. And now at this point, for years, I've just used a razor with warm water. Works wonderfully. And it doesn't have the additional cost of shaving cream or anything like it. It's amazing. It's one of those things where you don't realize this, but it makes a huge difference. You also can change the temperature on your hot water heater. It's quite an ordeal to do it, but you can. You can also basically break your shower head to the point where it actually has high pressure. Because by default, you can only really buy low-flow shower heads in the U.S. due to various regulations, and he points out, well, here's how you can fix that and actually get wet in the shower. So it's things like that. It's little ways that we just ordinary civilized folk can talk to each other and can figure these things out and can kind of just circumnavigate the various absurdities that are the regulations imposed upon us by those who would have us be civilized, but who are themselves the real uncivilizing force in society. That one in particular, the one with these kind of like life hacks, if you want to call them, is it's called Bourbon for Breakfast, because he is a fan of day drinking. That's kind of some of the reasons that I know of that there are people who aren't a fan of him, because he has he's the kind of guy who would day drink, but at the same time he's also a pretty accomplished scholar. So there's that. But yeah, no, he's fantastic on a lot of these things. He's very much he's very. The main thing that I like about Jeffrey Tucker is his optimism for
Join the commune.
Is doing the constant advance of civilization and of liberty. I wouldn't say alcoholic, but some people would. So people have accused him of being an alcoholic. I don't actually think there's much basis behind that personally, but I don't know. I don't know him personally, so I couldn't. I don't know. I interact with scholars on a scholarly level, and I leave it at that. Let's put it that way. Anyway, yeah, like I said, I don't malign or praise most scholars' personal lives because I don't want to get into it. He's an inspiration for me from an intellectual standpoint, and let's leave it at that as far as I'm concerned. In any case, though, I love the outlook of wonder at the little small things. Yeah, all of his books are online ebooks. You can buy hardcover or paperback copies, but you don't need to. So I highly recommend it. A lot of his work. And he's very, like I said, he's very optimistic about our ability to outpace the sort of calcifying influence of the sort of expanding centralization, if you want. So there is a case to be made for optimism in such matters, even if things look pretty pessimistic at the moment. So let's okay, cool. We got about a half an hour. We can find ourselves a new camp, I think, if that's what we're doing.
So, we moving?
Yeah. Micah told me of a place we can lie low.
While we're waiting, what's everyone drinking?
Dewberry Creek, he said.
Anything in particular?
Okay.
Maybe you and Charles can go take a look, clear off anyone you find before the whole lot of us move in looking so conspicuous.
And how are we gonna do that?
I don't know. Start dancing?
Looks like I turned into the goddamn errand boy.
You have turned into my son. You worry because I worry. We are just the same.
Charles, come with me. We got work to do.
That is a little bit culty, isn't it? Let's see how's the temperature at. Let's go with that. I like that look. Decent. I like it.
So where are we going?
Hold on. Let me actually mark our map so we're going in something like a line towards there instead of just looping like crazy. Are you serious?
About to camp. We're packing up and moving on. Again?
I guess Charles is leading. Sure.
Fast. We'd already pushed our luck too
Milk.
far before that.
Milk's good. I'm a fan of nice whole milk.
That didn't sound good.
Killed a lot of law. Killed a lot of Cornwall's men. They must know where we are by now.
Yeah, I've got a nice cup of coffee as usual. I do have a glass of water this time. I thought ahead on that. But yeah, I've got a nice cup of coffee. It is a toasted not toasted hazelnut. It's a pecan praline coffee. Feel that's a nice, appropriate out western kind of thing. Feels right. I've also got a small glass of scotch, an Aberfeldy single malt. Just turned onto it by a recommendation from an acquaintance who's a big scotch aficionado. So it's good. It's good stuff. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it is good.
Dutch wants us to give it a look. Make sure it's clear and a good place to lie low for a while.
I've only known him a few months, but the way he talks, I never thought I'd see him wanting to head south.
Right. And I know by now, there ain't no lying low.
There's too many of us for that.
And there ain't no way Dutch is gonna just hide away in a cave somewhere. Goes against everything he stands for. That'd be admitting we're nothing more than low-down criminals.
Which we are.
You don't have to tell me.
I will say Scotch was one of the first liquors that I tried.
Moving, the running.
I like it.
Dutch don't see it.
One ought to like it. It's good.
Call it what you want.
I don't know. before? Put enough time and distance between you and the problem? Eventually, it went away. I mean, this is a big country. But now, with these Pinkertons and better paid bounty hunters, I ain't so sure. Maybe the price on our heads got too big.
Yeah, they've certainly got money behind them.
They've got Cornwall's money behind them for one, which guarantees even more trouble.
I'm also a fan of Drambuie, although I usually use it as a mixer. It's by itself, it's a little bit the sweetness of it's got a little too much to it. My favorite Drambuie drink is called a Loch Lomond. It's Drambuie, single malt Scotch, and sweet vermouth.
That must be it up ahead.
Forget what else exactly.
Seems very
Something orange to it, I think, too.
Yeah, it does.
The honey note of Drambuie has got really got something to it. It's nice, really nice.
Well,
It works well as a
take
mixer,
look around.
mixed with other liquors. I mean, Scotch is a kind of whiskey. It's just it's a particular way of making whiskey native to Scotland.
You see it? Someone on the ground there.
I mean, Scotch is my favorite sort of whiskey, followed by Irish, then Canadian, then rye, and I guess I will tolerate bourbon. I'm not a fan. Bourbon is the whiskey of psychopaths, as is known.
Looks like trouble got here before us.
There's a camp just up ahead.
Sure. Let's get ready for business. Any issues? Shoot first, debate second.
I'm not gonna shoot for the sake of it.
Survival's for the sake of it. Quit talking.
You started it.
Scotch is usually more smooth than other whiskeys. That is true. Typically, but not necessarily.
Look, here it is.
It's also smokier.
Tense, but place looks empty.
Because of how it is, because of how the distilling process works, it gets smoke into the whiskey, which is it's what gives it a really smoky but smooth note to it, which is different. It's different from how you typically get something like bourbon, which is usually sweeter.
Maybe they heard us coming.
Rye is more of a bite to it.
I'm being careful.
Okay. What do I do here? I am a big fan of Scotch. My favorite, if you're looking for like an introductory Scotch, a mid-level one, sort of mid-shelf, which is probably my favorite, is Glenfiddich. Glenfiddich is an amazing Scotch. It's nicely, it's got some like fruity notes, but without being overpowering, and it is still nice and smoky, like Scotch sort of should be. I'm hungry.
I ain't so sure about that.
A lot of the whiskey you find in America is bourbon.
It's okay. It's okay.
Typically, if you just ask for a whiskey, a lot of times a bartender will give you a bourbon.
You okay? You don't mean you no harm.
He said, are you okay?
Sprechen Sie Deutsch? German?
No. Now go on. Get out of here. Go. We need the land. Go. Get the hell out of
They
here.
took our father.
Who did?
Men, last night.
Where? Where did they take him?
Ain't no business of ours. I don't even speak their language.
You ain't as tough and dense as all that. Come on, Arthur. The girl was pointing this way. Let's see if we can pick up a trail.
This is one of those things where if they're honorable, these guys come back later,
There.
and it pays off helping
I don't
them,
see nothing.
which is nice. It's one of those really nice bits of that's sort of Arthur's redemption.
This way.
I'm gonna need that, and I'm gonna need that rolling block. Yeah. Got my
What's
repeater.
going on with you?
What do you mean?
Look out!
Sorry.
You were just going to send that woman and her children on their way?
We're wanted, man. We got Pinkertons breathing down our necks. We should be moving.
Yeah, I love the payoff. I'm not going to spoil it. It's delightful.
Come on,
it's
Arthur.
Beautiful.
That's not how you are.
Well, maybe you don't know me as well as you think you do.
Yeah,
Hold
you
up.
do.
Let me check this. Okay, looks like they go down this way. So, what happened with those Pinkertons anyway? When you were fishing with Jack?
Said they were on to us. Offered me freedom if I turned Dutch in.
They picked the wrong man there.
We should have moved right then, if you ask me.
Wait a second, just want to look closer here. Continues along the shore here. So, yeah, where were we?
Bastards told me they'd killed Mac. Said it right in front of Jack.
That kid. It's gonna be tough for him.
Yeah, but he has more folk looking out for him than most of the rest of us had growing up.
John said he was going back to the auction yard to collect the money for those sheep.
He'd be a damn idiot going anywhere near that town right now.
He reckoned he'd be able to slip in and out.
I mean, I did just go to the gun store and have a nice bath, but whatever.
It's John's idea. It must be a good one.
What is it with you and him? Easy.
He disappeared on us for a while. When Jack was real young. A long while. Year.
Wait, just let me make sure this is right. They carry on along this trail.
So you was just talking about something?
You did?
And we was family, you know? Guess I still ain't fully forgiven him for that.
There's
Here
a
we
camp
go.
up ahead.
Be careful.
Seems deserted. Let's take a look.
All right, here we go.
Whoa!
So where is this guy?
I don't know. But you know something? This is a better camp spot than back there. Much easier to defend.
And who was it that recommended the other spot? I forget. Could it have been that son of a bitch, Micah?
Looks like our fella, Charles.
I think it might have been.
Quick, cut him free and let's get out of here. You got your knife there?
Vorsicht, Vorsicht! Das ist eine Flamme! Vorsicht!
Take cover!
I see
Yeah,
three coming this way.
What the hell? What do you think you're doing? Why the hell you drag us into this, Charles?
Hell no! You ain't getting our ransom! That arm doesn't look like it.
oh, his head's gone.
Look out! Riders coming in!
This one's got your name on it. You're dead, both of you.
Gotta like this rifle.
Last one's making a run for it. Take him down.
So Micah was definitely not right.
Well,
He recommended the previous crap camp.
Let's see what they've left behind for us.
This camp is not what he was recommending exactly. You gotta loot all them first.
You wanted to get this over with, Arthur.
Nah, we're fine, don't worry. I mean,
Let him free.
Charles, you can
Get him
do
back
it.
to his family.
I'm gonna, but...
Hier drüben! Sie sind alle weg!
Oh, he's got most of his head missing.
He looks in some pain there.
Okay, alright. Here we go. Let's cut him free.
It's okay. Getting you out of here.
Vielen Dank für Ihre Hilfe.
Yeah, okay. Hey, you wait there a second. Charles, go find Dutch. Get the caravan to divert here. This spot should work for us.
I agree.
Alright. So, first of all, let's change clothes, because apparently it's hot here.
You were saying before you disappeared on me?
All right, come on. I'll take you back to your family.
Vielen Dank für Ihre Hilfe. Also soll ich mitkommen?
Does he want that horse? That'd be nice. Anyway. So yeah, this should be around, we should probably get to wrapping up pretty soon, so this will probably be the last thing we really do once we set up camp here.
Wo bringen Sie mich hin?
What the hell did you do to those fellers?
Wie bitte?
Those men back there, why did they take you?
Geld. Money. Meiner Familie gehört eine Goldmine. Sie wollen Lösegeld erpressen.
How did someone even come up with them words?
Sie bringen mich zu meiner Familie? Vielen Dank. Wie haben Sie gefunden?
Look, I'm sorry, friend. I can barely speak English.
I can't even discern what's happening on the stream anymore. The subtitles help, but I don't know if they help enough. In any case, I will say I will probably it'll have to be another time when we talk extensively about consequentialism, because that is a great interesting topic. Is it really? Anybody else having anybody else have video problems? It's not looking like it on my end. What the hell? Anybody else getting video problems? Let me know. I'd like to resolve that if possible.
Gott sei Dank.
I mean, I'm probably going to wrap up soon anyway, but...
Schatz!
Andreas, ich hab gedacht, du seist tot.
Beinahe wärst du gewesen. Meine Lieblinge. Meine Herz allerliebst. Oh, wie wunderbar. Oh.
So, WizKid, I'd try refreshing.
Ja.
Ein großer Mann.
Ja, wirklich.
Es ist ein Segen, dass wir sie getroffen haben.
Come on, now get out of here. This place ain't safe. Get out of here!
Ja, alles klar.
Vamos!
Was
Vamos.
Sie? Einen Moment. Dankeschön. Thank you. Vielen Dank, herzlichen Dank.
Guess it was a pleasure.
Ja!
Nice chunk of gold, too. Very nice. Alright. So like I said, we are eventually going to be talking somewhat about the consequentialism and ends justifying the means, but ran out of time this time.
Hello, Arthur. Dutch.
Miss Grimshaw, Mr. Pearson, put everyone to work. Make this place a home. Well, I don't know where the hell we are, but we are going to make the best of it.
And new chapter. All right. Sounds good to me. I think I'm actually going to wrap up here. Like I said, at some point we definitely will do a more in-depth talk about consequentialism and ends justifying the means and all of that, because that is relevant to a lot of video games that involve decision making, and certainly both of the ones that we've been playing on stream.
Good morning, Uncle Arthur.
Don't go too close to the water here, Jack.
I won't, Uncle Arthur.
Good boy.
Alright, but yeah. So anyway, yeah, we'll pick that discussion up at some point as well, and we'll continue discussing having to do with the reading group. Hopefully we can get a good discussion going having to do with that. So in any case, like I said, I think I am going to wrap it up here. We'll pick it up here next time. Arthur needs a shave, and we'll see what we're doing at Clemens Point. All right. So with that, I will say goodnight to everybody, and I will see everyone next time. Bye-bye.